am going to be excited to introduce my friend and colleague David as we go through and talk about what is happening with MBA programs as AI continues to develop and emerge as a powerful technology. So, Dr. David Buisson, he is, where to begin? Obviously, he's got the credentials, he's an MIT Sloan Fellow. He's also got a PhD. One of the cool things about David when I met him is that not only has he been an entrepreneur and gotten to develop companies and help advise businesses across various life cycles in a range of industries, he's also had the opportunity to lead at the university level as a vice chancellor and as a dean. And so he understands very clearly how universities and in particular business schools think. And then on the flip side, has a very good understanding of how businesses are engaging with the talent that's coming out of the schools. And so that particular type of flywheel of experience really gets communicated well when he's working with a number of our students, as he's able to bring that dual perspective to, students that are looking at careers from banking to entrepreneurship to even public office. And one of the coolest things about David as he does his process is he is a big pioneer of design thinking. He's got a little bit of that Stanford in him as well, even though, we never got to bring him on as an alumni of the school. He does bring that design thinking process into both his product development work as well as how he shapes the product of you, as he likes to call it, for students as they really focus on emerging into their next level. So with that, David, I would love to hand you the mic. David, please join us.
Thank you, Shadman. By the way, Shadman's amazing to work with. First of all, understand the philosophy where I'm coming from in what I'm going to present. In our work with you, we have to be at the forefront of everything. But anything I do with Crimson and anything I do with you is not just an application. It's a journey of your development and your discovery. So please take it from that concept as well. Okay, understanding the AI landscape. AI is now totally mainstream. It's moved from a specialized tech now to an absolutely fundamental business capacity. So if we looked, Deloitte says 66% of business leaders anticipate AI will transform their industry within 3 years. By the way, just on an aside, if you want really interesting information, look what Deloitte University does and puts out in terms of information. McKinsey has said that research indicates that, the yearly global economy will grow from between 2.6 to 4.4 trillion as a result of AI. So that sets the scene for why AI is now our core business. For anyone that's going to aspire to an MBA or even is graduating, AI literacy is no longer an option for you. You're expected to understand it. You're expected to drive AI initiatives. And AI is expected across all business functions now. So if you look at this rubric here was pie graph, you can see roughly where growths are: increasing productivity, reducing response times, reducing the risk of errors, and such like. Now, McKinsey estimates that AI has the potential to automate activities that currently take up 70% of time. So AI fluency is now expected, and you are increasingly hired, not just because of your AI skills, but to lead AI integration, not just adapt it. So MBA programs are now embedded into MBAs in many universities. Some are still not responding as they should, in my view. 78% of the top, and I use the word top, MBA programs offer AI or data-driven experience incorporated into the curriculum, into the learning experience, or any of those areas. So the AI has led to changes in curriculum, and in particular brought emphasis on subjects like ethics, transparency, Emotional intelligence has become an important element in working with AI. So you need to prepare for that data, as it said, MBA, anything, preparing leaders for a data transformed economy. Okay, so if we look at curriculum changes, and I'm not going to get into the arguments in relation to how students use AI in terms of and whether it's ethical or not, and how assessment is going to occur. Many universities are struggling with, in fact, how AI is incorporated. Others have. I am of the personal view that AI ought to be embraced into all aspects of the activities of students. I've never held all my examinations, my life anyway, have been open examination. So I lead and view things from that perspective. So if we see core curriculum shifts, Wharton introduced a new MBA, a major blending AI tech courses with studies, in particular in ethical and social impact. Note the social impact. NCED's new MBA for business focus on how companies can thrive in the digital age through strategic AI integration. Slightly different orientations in how they've incorporated into the core. Specialized MBAs or STEM design programs have come to light. Carnegie Mellon's Tepper School offers an AI and business concentration, combining machine learning and business analytics. One of my students, in fact, is just in Tepper in the New York campus at this point with this particular type of degree because of his interests in algorithmic trading. MIT has a track in AI and analytics. Now, it's linking it with the computer science department as a joint endeavor to bring both experiences as in. Then we look at full integration across disciplines. And again, we artificial for business, this is Wharton. Again, it brings across this ethical, social impact, or the social side aspects of incorporating with the business aspects in there. Tuck has brought generational or generative AI into the classroom in all of its learning experience. So it's integrated into all its courses. I mean, as Stanford years ago integrated design thinking into all their courses and led the pack. We're seeing universities like Tuck leading the pack with integrating AI as a principle through all courses. So a key aspect is getting you to lead or developing the leadership of MBAs with responsibility and intelligently. Now, a key part of all this is the evolution is not just about you having technological literacy, but the responsible leadership at the end is absolutely required. And so we're seeing an increasing interaction or intersection of technology, strategy, and ethics come together. So this is what's happening, is the joining. We're seeing a lot more of this ethics and governance coming into it. So if we start looking at from a learning partner perspective of what universities done, MBA programs aren't just reacting, but proactively are preparing students to lead. So we've seen the Rotman School absolutely incorporates everything into teaching its learning experience. So students, this is one of the schools that totally has encouraged and adopted. I might add, it's interesting that Rotman was the birthplace of design thinking with Roger Martin from McKinsey, who created the first joint MBA with the Ontario School of Art. Now, Rotman is again leading with some of these sorts of types of developments. So then Quantic, the online business school in Washington, D.C. IU, the Kelley School, use AI to cut study time and tailor paths. They're looking at how it can make it much more efficient. So that tool is absolutely there, available to support all your learning activities. Then we've seen the developments of ethics and government cores. Now, Oxford Science and Wharton offer dedicated AI ethics modules. The Harvard Business School and Stanford, are focusing on not only just the ethical aspects, but all this whole area of bias and transparency. So you're going to hear the words ethics, you're going to hear the word bias, you're going to hear the word transparency. As AI is adopted more, and you have to understand these elements that, weren't things that we normally put in an MBA. Yes, we did ethics, but not to the depth and the expectations of ethics that is going to be required now. So future MBAs, I think, is very important, must bridge technology, ethics, and business. AI is the medium, not just the message. It's something critically that you need to take on board. So, tools and ethics. Now, the whole development of tools, it's becoming, in the preparation of this, I use ChatGPT. With students, I'm using Notion AI, in fact, as to bringing all together everything we're doing in their program. Now, one of the things I want to be absolutely clear on, I can tell when an essay is presented to me that's purely being developed by ChatGPT. One of my complaints that everyone says that AI is going to be the future of everything. I'm reminded, especially from my design thinking background, that AI is only as good as what you input into the machine learning of it. And frankly, creativity is not part of an AI tool. Vision and emotion aren't either. So when you're using ChatGPT, Notion, or anything, yes, they're quick and fast, but you get very generic and over-polished answers. It's very easy to pick up. So, for example, I've just come off this morning. In the last 4 days, I've been working with a client that we had for an application for MIT. His statement of objectives was 1,300 words. When he produced it to me, we had to bring that down to 500. So every word counts. So yes, we've used ChatGPT, but when we've been looking at that final essay, an essay has to be emotional. It has to every bit that you do in there, you need to understand. So you've got to look very carefully how you look at ChatGPT, its authenticity, and how correct it actually is. The other thing that we're seeing is schools are increasingly using. You've heard Shab mentioned our video essays a short while ago. Again, we've just done one of those. I've just worked on it with a client this morning on that. It's interesting that MIT have moved their video essays. Normally you used to submit a 2-minute one. Now they are having you do them live. They bring you on, you do that 2-minute presentation live. Now, so what's happening is that using Kira talent, we're seeing AI analysis of your behavior on these videos, eye contact. All these are being looked at. And also, aside from anything else, whether you can actually speak English or not and how good your English is. But you've got to look at how you're using. So mission, use of, Kira, what your engagement is, what your coherence is, your behavioral traits. These are all, in fact, being used. Now, I've just dealt with a situation of a student with this whole situation of recommenders letters in which students are preparing them, especially using ChatGPT is causing problems. I'm seeing too many similarities of recommenders letters coming towards me. All these things need to be looked. AI is to enhance your thinking. It is not to replace it. So Tools and ethics are all the new norm. Institutions have been using AI to, in fact, streamline the process. So 56% of institutions are currently using AI in admissions. 19% plan to implement AI by 2024, and 5% plan to implement AI by 2025 or later. Now, this whole thing of the use of AI in applications and its analysis, the use of AI and analysis of the application, I've just had this from a quite different experience, is from the perspective of applications for jobs. And we were wondering why this particular candidate was always being rejected. And we discovered after doing an AI analysis of it, elements that were putting it through an employment analysis that's used by many companies to analyze it, that there were negative aspects in it. So please, the concern that we have and the concern many universities have is the bias that AI creates, the transparency, and the potential over-reliance on automation. Now, this is where universities like MIT and Stanford, I refer to creative universities, because they allow you to roam across all the universities, but they take a very holistic approach when they're in fact selecting candidates. Whereas more algorithmic, pass GMAT, do this and that, tend to in fact use AI very quickly to eliminate certain candidates out. So depending on your creativity and type of person you are, how you use AI will be impacted by the university that you're going to be applying to also. So what is the influence on your career? Now, integration of AI into traditional industries is just not a technological shift, but it is actually a catalyst for redefining career paths. And traditional consulting firms are struggling, in particular because of many of their senior people much more at the aging level rather than the young level. And they're having to redefine their business model, redefine how analysts work, and you need to develop the skills in AI literacy, data interpretation, and strategic implementation. And this is often a new learning experience within consulting firms to do this. You've got a blend for your consulting firm position of the future, a blend of technical literacy and strategic acumen. So it needs that kind. Again, it is a tool for you to use. How you use it, it's having somewhat more impact on other areas. In finance, not only is it impacting artificial efficiency, fraud detection, customer service, and it's going to boost those significantly, but we're also seeing it, developing into areas like assisting in algorithmic trading. My daughter happens to be in the fintech area and tells me it's having a very, very significant impact on new models and new types of fintech innovations that are going to occur. Manufacturing. Again, there is a struggle here. We're seeing, job replacement, predictive maintenance, quality control, optimization of production. We're seeing the workforce implications are particularly interesting here because you're going to having to upskill workers within your organization to be able to manage and collaborate with. You notice this word collaborate with AI systems. And when I talk about leadership, I'm going to talk about that. You're going to collaborate. It's in effect, you've got to collaborate, a leadership skill with a technological element associated with it. So let's just look at the emerging industries that we've got. Now, there is not sources of data here because each one of these bar graphs have been taken from different sources. But the integration of AI into the workplace has not only transformed the roles in the organization, but it's created new jobs. We're finding new titles. So if we start from the left in strategy and transformation, here roles are central in consulting and cross-functional corporate leadership. In the product managers area, the role of AI is bridging technological development and customer need. In marketing, marketing is being driven by personalization, and AI is going to take things to the truly personal level. This is where an linking of personalization, automation, and analytics. Salesforce tells us that marketing managers who can blend data fluency with brand strategy are going to be particularly valuable in the future. If we look at AIs in the ops and supply chain area, AI is going to streamline logistics, reduce waste, and forecast demand. This is going to be a critical space for development for MBAs in the areas of process optimization or industrial engineering. Now, this whole area of AI ethics and compliance is going to see a whole area of new types of people, that AI ethics managers, or there's a growing need for people with expertise in ethics, bias, risk, and accountability. So these are going to be where developments are going to occur in these sort of industries. The biggest growth is seen in that area of how you manage AI in the organization and, in the ethics and that government area. So let's take this and look at the essential skills that you need in the age of AI. Proficiency in data analysis and interpretation. Ability to navigate ethical dilemmas in AI deployment. And that is going to be a critical one. Adapting to rapidly evolving AI technologies. And I'm going to talk a little bit how keeping up to date on all this is in a minute. And leading teams through AI transformation. This is in particular where the whole area of emotional development is seen as becoming critical in the future. I've just been working with a New Zealand company that introduced AI in through a number of areas and said technically it was success, culturally and organizationally it was a failure because they did not take the workers with them, showing them why AI was going to help them. So you're going to be taking a much broader approach to how you manage and lead things. So critical judgment, synthesizing data and context to make sound, rational decisions. I mean, you can't just take AI decisions at face value. You've got to actually analyze just what they actually mean. Influencing decisions through storytelling. This translation between, and again, interaction with data teams and leadership teams is going to be critical, but influencing decisions through storytelling. So I just said, they didn't carry the workers. Technically, it was a success, and you've got to bridge that gap. And this is done, I mean, as I say, my background and interests lie how I moved from chemistry to becoming a teacher of design thinking, I'm still not sure. But anyway, I have, and that whole creativity, but that human-centric approach is absolutely critical in fact, adopting AI into the organization. And finally, just having that familiarity with, there's so many tools that are accounting out there. It's a real problem keeping up with them all. So overall, 74% of employers at the moment are prioritizing AI data proficiency in MBA hires. So basically, you need to cultivate a hybrid skill set, a blend of strategic, technical, and human-centric skills. Right. So standing out in the future, how do you stand out? The stronger candidates aren't just aware of AI, they're already adopting it. Your first step is awareness. Stay informed. Demonstrate you understand where AI is heading. It's not being a technical expert, but literate. So in a tip when you're writing essays, I suggest refer to specific trends. Build practical fluency, skill building tools, skill building with skill building tool familiarity and usage. Show us what you do, not tell us what you do. Just give us practical examples of what you've done. Weave AI into your career vision and school selection logic. Reflect how AI is shaping the sector and position to yourself to lead a transformation. When I work with MBAs, or when I work with most postgraduate students, my greatest difficulty is getting you to have a vision for yourself. And because when people come say to me, well, I want to do an MBA, they'll say, why? So you've got to put in an application. Those universities are going to want you for life. You're going to have to put to them, where does this degree fit within your vision of your future? Now, so reflect on where AI is fitting in that career vision. Reflect on what happens to your sector and position yourself to lead a transformation. So the best candidates tell a story. So you don't describe, you are interested in AI, but you explain what AI means to your career. What you have done so far and where you're heading. Reflect how AI is changing in your sector you've come from. Show us how you've engaged with AI. Show us how you've used tools like Tableau. Give us projects if you've supported. Now, these don't need to be flashy or that sort of thing. Just show initiative and curiosity. It's often these small things that have a much greater impact than something that's flashy. Tie it all together. Articulate your intent. How will this MBA help you and where you're going? So if I'm looking at the best applications when I'm working with students, they tell me a story. And the future I will be looking for in essays is how AI shapes your world, where it fits within your vision, how you will shape your future, where the MBA fits in this future, what you want from that MBA. So admissions officers are now looking for authenticity, action, and aspiration. And remember those three words. So in pulling all this together as key takeaways, AI is foundational, not optional. It is embedded in everything that you do. The way admissions are looking at things, you've got to use tools to structure your application, but never lose your voice. Deep and personal is required. One of the things I work very closely with students is, does this essay represent them, their emotion? So when I'm working with a student, I have you read the application to me, or I read the application, and then we actually get the emotion you talk about things when I ask you, well, how do you understand that? Careers are evolving. Titles like AI strategy consultants, ethics officers, AI product managers are evolving. The future is for professionals who are AI literate, but ethically aware and emotionally intelligent. When looking at programs, look at genuine integration, interdisciplinary partnerships, and such like. So if we look at where MBA programs are heading in the age of AI, UPenn's MBA major in artificial intelligence. MIT, I've already mentioned, linking with engineering, its track in artificial intelligence and analytics, integrating AI content through electives. Stanford, integrating AI content through popular electives. Continuing the USA, the joint degree with McCormick School of Engineering with Northwestern and Kellogg, and Northwestern Kellogg in its joint degree. Also does an excellent MBA with the design school as well. Carnegie Mellon, Tepper School, AI and business concentration, integrating machine learning. In Europe, INSEAD, the AI and business program. INSEAD always is one of the most reactive, proactive programs out there. London Business School, generative artificial intelligence, part of the MBA program. And since the IN Madrid, AI-focused courses in the MBA curricula, along with ISA in Barcelona, again, artificial intelligence. It's interesting that 3 of the top business schools in Europe sit in Spain. So if I pull all that together, ultimately, the MBA future is a leadership degree for the AI world. The most successful graduates will be those who have vision and can turn AI into a strategic advantage responsibly and creatively. So good luck. A lot to take in what I've talked about, but your career is in your own hands, and adopting what I've talked about is critical. Right, it's all back to you, Shadman.
David, really big thanks for that thorough deep dive. It is pretty amazing to see how quickly things are changing. I know we often talk about higher education as being slow to innovation, but that being said, just given the fact that, ChatGPT came out roughly 2 years ago, it's been pretty cool to see the reaction from some of the top business programs. Obviously, they're not moving at the same pace as the private sector is, but frankly, I would even say the private sector is trying to figure out how to really prepare for the upskilling that's going to be required with AI. That being said, I'd be curious from your vantage point as a business leader and advising companies and working with top executives around the world, how would you say definitions or notions of themselves are changing for business leaders in the age of AI?
Well, first of all, I think leadership is not at the moment about having the answers at the moment. It's about having the right questions to ask, often to machines. You're going to move from being a decision maker to a sense maker, in effect. You're going to interpret, translate AI insights. In fact, your management style is going to be co-management. You're going to manage with a machine. So, in fact, it's going to be a co-leader with you. And you have to treat it as a co-leader. You're going to be, in effect, managing hybrid teams of, humans and computers. You co-lead with AI and data. And I think that's going to be critically required, that, that machine is part of you. It's like your second brain. It's part of your brain. It's also going to change from your own ethical and responsible perspectives. You're going to have to watch much more closely at things like bias. So business leadership, to me, emotional intelligence, technical literacy and how you use it, and ethics, technical literacy and emotional intelligence are going to be critical in what I refer to as collaborative leadership, because you're going to be leader, you're going to be working much more. Your interaction with data science, often they were in the back, they just produced information from you. You're going to be
Right.
co-leading with them. So business leadership to me is going to change into
Yeah,
co-leadership.
it's interesting because I do think that even there's a job function expertise that will have to be refined for leaders as well. Because if you are managing agents doing, say, your outbound lead gen that you used to kind of outsource to an early career hire who would be in the weeds of that, it's your responsibility as a leader to make sure that your agent is operating and identifying the right segments periodically. And so it's interesting because you would think that with AI, it's going to free up all this work from focusing on the details. But, from what I'm seeing, even just on the level of what we're doing here at Crimson, there's still a lot the sense making is actually requires a lot of thorough understanding of what the AI should be doing and what good looks like that maybe you used to outsource to an employee. So I think it's fascinating to see just the level up that's required for leaders. And I guess, you touched on this a little bit about how, MBA students will need a new core set of skills in preparation for the future of work. I'm curious, like, if you've been able to see any immediate changes in today's kind of event horizons where an MBA graduate today, are you seeing what hiring managers are looking for from MBAs today in terms of like what are the kind of top one or two skills you would say, hiring managers want to see from an MBA right out of school?
At the moment, you mentioned a short while ago that many companies are struggling how to handle AI. I
Yeah.
go, and you go into boards of directors and you're in a totally different level because they haven't a clue what the hell in many respects is going on.
Hmm.
So many businesses are seeing new graduates coming out with AI literacy and skills as being saviors, as informing, and they're having to adopt. They're adopting them. That's why there's real demands at this point with students or people with real AI literacy,
Hmm.
especially those who feel they have who have the ability to question AI, because it's how you frame the questions is a critical answer
Right.
in many of these things, and build. But more important is building trust with that machine in the decisions that you're making. And so that's why I say career expectations. You're going to see more advertising for AI product managers, AI strategy consultants, chief AI ethics officers, and these sort of things. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, but having you go out with social insight, system design, ethical foresight, technical literacy. Those are the sorts of things that companies are looking for at the moment.
Do you
Boards
think
are,
the number of opportunities will be less or fewer for MBA grads, like say specifically investment banking and consulting,
it is
pretty
my personal opinion, yes, they will be less for those because, as you say, I mean, even now, mathematicians are more valuable in many finance companies
right,
than finance graduates. So,
right.
and you mix a mathematician with AI and an MBA graduate, you've got a pretty powerful mix, especially as we move into things like algorithmic trading and
Right.
those sort of things. It is my own personal opinion as well. I mean, I'm working with a client at the moment who's one of the foremost game developers of this world. And he tells me finance is going to be undertaken on gaming platforms within the next 5 years. And so, and we'll use AI extensively. He tells me he can put the entire economy of a country on the game platform. So, and when you look at co-tentacle technologies or these sorts of companies that are coming on them out, some really interesting stuff happening out there in that area.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, with that, there's another question from the audience that is asking, kind of as a non-computer science major right now, what would you say that student should be prioritizing at the moment? Should they be gaining kind of basic knowledge on the technical side, be it data science and computer science, or should they be just jumping into learning how to apply AI in their existing domain that they're studying in?
Right. Apologies, I should have covered this earlier. You do not, and I want to make it absolutely clear, you do not need to be able to code. You do not need a background in computer science. They're useful, but you do not need these. It's learning how to apply, use, and interpret tools. This is the most important thing to do. In fact, the interesting thing is we're seeing significant lowering of the demand for pure computer science graduates. They're looking for people that they can apply and develop things now. So please do not look at it, how you apply, learn how to use those tools. What you can frame AI as a tool that you aim to achieve things like innovation, sustainability, experience, show you where, show that you know how to use it, how to interpret it, but also the risks of using it and the interpretation of it.
Yeah, so on that note, right, we know what skills are going to be important after the MBA for hiring, but before they even get into the school, knowing that that's the goal, what do you think admissions committees are going to be prioritizing for candidates as AI becomes more mainstream?
Digital curiosity, technological awareness. They're looking for adaptive AI literate people, ability or vision to upskill themselves into this, in particular, things like Stanford are looking at interdisciplinary thinking, how AI can be used across disciplines, data-driven people that can think analytically and question. But it's also looking for people that have teamwork and emotional intelligence. But to me, technical literacy, teamwork and emotional skills, creativity, thinking differently in today's age, and the vision for yourself are going to be the key things that I look for. That vision and that incorporation of AI into your vision, to me, is going to be critical.
Something that we've been doing a lot at Crimson too, so it's good to know
Yeah,
that
I know.
that level of ability is still going to be important here. If you are considering an MBA or you're in the midst of the application process right now and want to figure out, how do you go about building in those traits that David mentioned, adaptability, digital curiosity, technical fluency with AI without feeling too inauthentic or buzzwordy about your approach, feel free to just book a chat with us here. My QR code's on the slide, and our team will be following up with a booking link as well if you'd like to have a conversation. We're happy to dig through your thoughts and really think about the ways that we can position you, in particularly where you are in your journey right now. That being said, David, thank you so much for sharing your insights, sharing your knowledge, and bringing in, like I said, the two different parts of your life on the education and business front all so cohesively in today's conversation. So thanks so much, David. We really appreciated having you here today.
Thank you, Shadman. Good luck for everyone for the future. By the way, just going on, play with sandboxes, join hackathons, but not from a computer science point of view. You want easy ways of getting experience? Look at those ways of doing things.